My name is Nawaf Ahmad Khormi. I will talk about transplantation immunity. Learn objective, I will discuss about the need, why we need for transplantation, and I will define some terminology such as transplant, donor, recipient, and I will talk about types of transplantation, and I will discuss the mechanism of allograft rejection and types of these rejections, and I will discuss factors favoring allograft survival. Here I will talk about why we need for transplantation when organ or tissue is damaged by disease or injury, or organ is congenitally defective or absent. In this case, the body cannot survive without this organ. So we need for transplantation to restore the functions of this organ. Here I will define some terminology such as transplant, the organ or tissue transplanted, donor, the individual from whom the transplant is obtained, recipient, the individual to whom the transplant is applied. For example, if a father was suffering from renal failure and his son donated to him his kidney, in this case, the father is called recipient, and the donor is called, and the son is called donor, and the kidney is called transplant. Here I will talk about types of transplantation. Actually, there are 4 types of transplantation: autologous, syngeneic, allogenic, and xenogenic transplantation. Number 1, autologous. Organ taken from individual and grafted on the same individual. For example, skin graft. Number 2, syngeneic. Organ taken from individual and grafted on another individual but with the same genetic constitution, such as between homozygous twins. Number 3, allogenic. Organ taken from individuals and grafted on another individuals but in the same species, for example between people. Number 4, xenogenic. Xenogenic graft between members of the different species, such as between people and animals. Here I will talk about mechanisms of rejections, of allograft rejections. Actually, there are many types, there are many molecules which are responsible for rejections. They are called MHC molecule. When the rejection is occurred, when the recipient doesn't pose all antigens which are present in the donor. For example, if the recipient has A group and the donor has B group, in this case, there are different in the blood group, so there will be rejection and there will be immune response. So if the recipient possesses all antigens present in the donor, there will be no immune response and there will be no rejection. Here I will talk about types of rejections. There are 2 types of rejections. Number 1, hyperacute rejection. Number 2, chronic rejection. Hyperacute rejection is characterized by occlusion of the graft vessels. and it occurs after host blood vessels are anastomosis to transplant vessels. Number 2, chronic rejection, characterized by fibrosis and vascular abnormalities, and this will lead to loss of function, loss of graft function occurring during a prolonged period. Here I will talk about factors favoring allograft survival. There are many factors which help the transplanted organ to survive from rejection. Number 1, ABO blood group compatibility. When the blood groups are same in the donor and recipient, there will be no rejection. Number 2, HLA compatibility. Number 3, immunosuppression such as azathioprine, cyclosporin, and steroids. These immunosuppressants which help the transplanted organ to survive from rejection is injected into the transplant to protect it from rejection.